Aloha. I want to see if something is working. Give me 1 second before I close this. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I just want to make sure my setup is correct. Oh, wait a minute. Let's make sure I have this not on pause. Perfect. Okay, good. I remember last time I went live, I spoke for like 15 minutes. It wasn't even live. This looks good. Perfect. So give me 1 second. Let me set up the second stream, and I think I should be good to go. Let's see. Okay, perfect. Let's see. Good. I hope everyone's having a good day. I just want to edit the stream real quick, and then we're going to get going. Let's see. Edit this clip. Perfect. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over Jay-Z's lawyer kind of a news brief, and really just like, I didn't get a chance to listen to the whole thing, so I just wanted to listen to it live. I feel like there's a lot of like people already stuck on like if he's guilty or not, and without really truly looking at the evidence, right, or what's presented so far. It's just like there's a person, alleged person that something was done to. Definitely was not Jay-Z, right? And so now let's just kind of like the Busby, like he's been kind of going like extremely aggressive, right, with his presentation. So I think it's time for Jay-Z's lawyer to kind of actually combat that, right, by kind of defending his client, right? So let's kind of see it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure this is good. Let's see. Let's cancel. Let's stay. Okay, my setup is good so far. So let's go get going. Okay. So let's see. Perfect. Okay. I want to make sure it's good on. You can hear me. Okay, good. Yes. So what I was looking for to set up, right, I finally achieved that. I think this looks good. So perfect. So let's go. So we're gonna get straight into it. Okay. We're gonna watch Jay-Z's lawyer presentation and just kind of like get a gauge of like what he's saying and just overall what the case is. Okay. So give me 1 second. Let me set this up. Let's make sure I start from the beginning. So let's do this all over again. Okay. So again, however you feel about the case, leave the comment, right? Let me know. But so far, it looks like Jay-Z is innocent, man. And he looks like a setup. To me, it looks like a straight up setup. It looks like a money grab. And it's kind of ridiculous how this has been, how the initial push by the media, and now that the alleged the Jane Doe is like lying. There's the push is still not there. It's like, hey, it looks like she's accusing an innocent man of like something he didn't do. So anyway, so let's get to it. I want to start now. So let's have my source up.
When you're trying to evaluate whether something occurred, you have to look at different pieces of the narrative: the location, where it happened, the witnesses, who were they, what did they say, the details. The details are very important in time. So we start off with the location, and according to their complaint, after approximately 20 minutes, she arrived at a white house with a U-shaped driveway and a gate. There is no such location in New York, 20 minutes from Radio City. It does not exist. There is no such location. We don't know whether they created a location in order to try to get jurisdiction in New York.
And I think that's probably what happened with this person. This person sound like the Jane Doe. They probably never truly left wherever state they're in, or maybe they visited New York one time. New York City is a whole different beast. It's a whole different beast. If you've been here, right, or spent some time here, you would know like some of the things she was saying was just like, it's not feasible, right? But it looks like someone, again, I believe that she probably created this whole story in her head, and what kind of like really expose her is just like the reality hits. Like she's creating all this illusion of like you can get to a source so distance based on her town, her major city, right? New York City is a whole different kind of beast. Okay, so I don't think that commute that she was saying, I don't think it's feasible. Okay,
When you're trying to evaluate whether something occurred, you have to look at different pieces of the narrative. The location, where it happened, the witnesses, who were they, what did they say, the details. The details are very important in time. When you're trying to evaluate whether something occurred, you have to look at different pieces of the narrative.
Sorry, I had to do that again. Let's continue, okay?
Where it happened, the witnesses, who were they, what did they say, the details. The details are very important in time. So we start off with the location. And according to their complaint, after approximately 20 minutes, she arrived at a White House with a U-shaped driveway and a gate. There is no such location in New York, 20 minutes from Radio City. It does not exist. There is no such location. We don't know whether they created a location in order to try to get jurisdiction in New York so they could bring this case in New York, or that they just didn't do their homework. But any New Yorker knows there is no such location. Beyond that, this was supposed to have taken place at Mr. Combs' after party, according to them. When you look at the homes associated with Mr. Combs during that period of time, and even not during that period of time, none of them matches. He had a townhouse, he had a house in the Hamptons hours away, and he had homes in New Jersey, but not at that time. None of the homes work, the location doesn't work, because this never happened. And again, when you really bear down on the location and his whereabouts, you quickly realize, because there's photographic evidence and witnesses are coming forward, that Mr. Carter was at a commercial establishment after the VMAs. He wasn't at a house. Well, unfortunately for them, they needed to create this house in order to create the narrative. But he wasn't at a White House that did not exist. And this is a photograph of him at a location after the VMAs. So as we can continue through this, Jane Doe does not say that the assault happened at a commercial establishment. She can't. That wouldn't make any sense. Yet they stand by it. They double down. They triple down. White House. The White House doesn't exist. And then we get to the witnesses.
Do you know what's very interesting about her situation, right? Just a little jump to the future, right? Is how they're trying to convince you, society, people, right, that for an event like that, there's a lot of cops there. You're talking about celebrities, so there's going to be a lot of cops, to protect them. They're basically considered assets, right? So companies consider them assets, so they want to make sure they're protected, well protected, right? So this person is trying to make you believe that she's gonna run around, right? Very young person, right? Cops around, and none of the cops is gonna say anything, and the cops are just gonna let her walk by. Like the main gate or the main entrance don't have some sort of police force there or some kind of something there. So they want you to believe that maybe Jay-Z or Dan probably went to the police and hey, listen, we want all the bad police to be on our event, right? Where basically if they see anything going on, don't say anything. That's what people want you to believe. That's a lot of the narrative going on now, that people are trying to make society believe that that this event that people keep saying oh yeah, that they have all this sort of illegal activity going on. What about the cops doing? Do you think someone like Jay-Z is not going to have lots of security? Probably more likely than not. They're probably police officers. You think that's not going to happen? That's what I don't know. It never makes sense to me.
Everybody has to remember that in 24 years, not a single witness has ever come forward saying this happened. Quarter of a century. Think about that. She said she's at the party alone, this 13-year-old girl, and she finds herself in the room with the three most famous people at the party. Just think about how unnatural, how little common sense that makes. And according to her, one of the witnesses is a female celebrity who's just standing there watching the repetitive rape of a child. That celebrity does nothing, says nothing, reports nothing. And in fact, they won't even identify her. According to them, there's an adult female in the room watching the rape of a child. They refuse to identify her. So then we continue. And you look and there's celebrities that she says she's mingling with before. Afterwards, she says she runs out of the house naked. None of them notice that. None of them pay any notice.
Okay, forget about a celebrity for 1 second. They're police officers, sort of security guard. Okay, maybe people say, well, the security guard is paid off, right? But you cannot convince me that an event like that, you have P. Diddy, you have Jay-Z, you have probably a whole lot of different celebrities, right? And she said it alleges there, right? You cannot tell me they don't have cops, police officers there. Because the armed probably guards can only go so far. But when you have a police force there, right, it kind of is a show of force, right? And you cannot convince me the police officers are just going to look to the side or look away. Jay-Z and Diddy just went to the police precinct again. Again, as I said earlier, he's okay, you know what? all the bad cops, let me get all of them for like, we have an event in 2000 and we want to like go be in our after show. That's absurd. That's not how it works. There's all this fantasies about people like her suffer from, right? And in their head, they think that makes sense. But again, as the lawyer is going to say, Jay-Z's lawyer is going to say, is like, yes, she probably thought about the grand scheme of what her story is going to be, but the details is what you need to pay attention to. That's where a lot of those mental cases, people that have mental issues like her, that's where you start to see the signs and you're starting to see like their story fall apart. It's like, hey, what happened? Explain to me like here to there to there. And you start to see that little like a little window, kind of see like something is not right there. And again, that's what her lawyer should have done. A lawyer should have noticed that, but of course he's being money greedy. So,
and so she's just asked in this interview. She's asked, well, I mean, celebrities are recognizable people. Surely you can tell us one celebrity that was there. Just give us one name so that we know this happened. And she says, okay, Benji Madden was there. And she wants to conjure up religion and say, I'm religious. I remember his tattoo. She looks and remembers so vividly the tattoo and the conversation with Mr. Madden. Well, Mr. Madden wasn't there. He already said he wasn't there.
And that's the thing about people like her. There's a lot of people I notice online. Also, like, again, online is kind of you get a different type of people online, right? You just sometimes I feel like it's more extreme, right, than people you get to see outside, right? But it also depends on what like area you're in. If you're entertainment, if you're in science, etc. So you see different kind of like variables of people, right? But on this entertainment sector, you see like one of the most insane people, right? And a lot of them like to justify. They feel like as soon as they bring up religion, right, is a cure for everything. Go back and watch how detailed she explains the tattoo with the artist, right? And just to realize, I just kind of give, again, she created a big picture like she lied. But when it comes down to the detail, that's when you really know who's telling the truth. And she told you, hey, the artist was there. He had a tattoo. She brings up religion. No one asked her about that, right? Trying to use religion as a way, like, seeing, like, trying to, like, you know, so trying to, like, basically, to make people make her look believable, right? But the artist said, I was not there. They were on tour, right? So that alone right there, her lawyer, Busby, should have questioned that. But what I'm starting to realize online now, instead of a lot of people seeing that, so, okay, something is wrong, right, with her assessment, right? Now, some people are saying, well, maybe it didn't happen in that year. Let's move up 3 years. This is absurd. This is a very dangerous situation. So people are trying to find a scenario where it ties into what they want the story to be. What they want the story to be. She had a specific year 2000. She said an individual was there that happened to not be there, that she says, hey, I remember because of the tattoo, right? And voila. I'm almost starting to believe that if you really put a picture of Jay-Z with other lookalike, I don't think she probably can like pick him out. Again, I will say this. I honestly believe that if you have a lineup of 5 lookalikes like Jay-Z, I can pick Jay-Z from anywhere, right? I believe that if you have Jay-Z lookalike lined up, I guarantee she probably can't pick him out. Guarantee she can't pick him out. I honestly believe that Diddy, when the case will happen with Diddy, right, and the lawyer created us 1-800 number, right, so anyone can call, right, that they've been a victim of Diddy, right? Again, I find it very interesting how no one did it for the Catholic Church, right? But again, let's just do it for this case, right? I think that brought in a lot of like mentally ill people. A lot of people are just like, some people are just trolling. And I actually believe that she's just one of those trolls, online trolls, that got out of hand and just didn't really realize that this is a serious case. But it was who for the lawyer, trusted, verified. Busby should have known. Should have known. He should have vetted the case better. But again, this is what greed looks like. Again, let's carry forward.
Said he wasn't there, and he wasn't there because this never happened. None of this ever happened. And you keep going, and you ask yourself, well, who is this complaining witness? She does not come forward with her real name. She proceeds under Jane Doe. There's no report to the police. According to her, she never tells anybody for 24 years. Not one person, not alone in the car for 5 hours at home, on her way home. Not one person, not a diary, not a family member, not a friend. Most people, when this happens, there's a need to tell somebody. We call these prompt outcry witnesses. In most complaints like this, people tell somebody. She says nobody for 24, 25 years. And then we get to the details. And I want to make sure this is clear. When people make up an account, whether intentionally or their mind is playing tricks on them, they can always get that core part of the story right. They can just keep repeating it over and over and over again. This is what happened, that core part. But they're always going to mess up the details. When something isn't real, when something doesn't happen, you're going to get the details wrong because you weren't really there. And so she starts with her story about her friend that dropped her off. Okay? This drive of over 5 hours, the friend would have had to have gone 10 plus hours to drop her off because she's got to get there. If this is real, she's got to get there. But guess what? This
Yeah. Again, magically, the friend is no longer alive. Okay, whatever. Okay, I'll take that. And I want to go back to, yes, some victims never tell their story, right? So that there, I kind of understand a little bit. So I can understand she not telling a story for 24 years. I can understand that, right? But again, if that was a real victim, but that's not a victim. This person's a liar, so let's get it straight. I do understand some people would probably never tell the story until like they hit 50. There are lots of people like that. They never tell the story until they get to a certain age. They're like, okay, I cannot do this anymore. Or they just probably they go to the grave with it. So the graveyard is full of lots of tales. So that part again, that to me I didn't really feel that was a good point. But overall, everything else is like, okay, she's gonna say her dad is gonna say he doesn't remember doing that drive. Again, it's just basically saying that's a lie. That's what I got from it. What dad will go pick up their 13-year-old, right? 13-year-old from 5 hours away and don't remember? You notice I never brought up the fact that the dad, she'd never telling her dad. Again, if something, again, that was a real victim, I get it. Again, if that was a real victim, so the part of not telling the dad, I'm like, I get it. You get what I'm saying? If it was like maybe a woman, someone like 24, 25, yeah, she's probably gonna tell someone. She probably be still afraid. But again, it's not. A 13-year-old is afraid. They're like, okay, I'm gonna get in trouble, right? But the fact that her dad never said that he actually remember picking her up, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. That means she's basically just lying. It's a fairy tale. It's all in her head, man. This is all in her head.
She doesn't get out of the car, right? Think about that. She's just leaving a 13-year-old girl alone in Midtown. She doesn't want to get out of the car. She came all that way. There can't be a witness there. She can't have a witness there because this never happened. So as you keep going, you ask yourself, but how did she end up in the car in the first place? And so she creates this story. She says, I snuck out the window, right? But now we know she came from Rochester. So she would have been sneaking out of the window at 3 in the afternoon, in the middle of broad daylight. Never heard of such a thing, defies common sense, doesn't make any sense because this never happened. And so she tells this story because she's got to create a way that she gets out of the house and ends up in New York City. And as we keep going here, the friend that implausibly leaves her there's then some pressure on that part of the story. This doesn't make any sense. And so the lawyer is asked, well, just produce the friend. And so he has to find somebody that can make this work. And of course, as soon as he's pressed, they find somebody who they say is no longer alive. They can't corroborate it, and there's nobody to talk to. Okay, and if we can keep going. Next slide. So she then gets there, right? And she has this vivid tale of watching it on a Jumbotron. It's in her complaint. Clear as day. There was no Jumbotron that year. Okay? I don't know whether they were Googling images and found the wrong year. I don't know whether she's just making it up out of whole cloth.
See, again, when she created a big fantasy world, right? The detail was missing. And because again, I believe her lawyer is taking advantage of a mentally ill person, right? And he basically tried to help her plug it in. Okay. And again, it's like, I know someone's going to watch it and said, well, you're victim shaming. No, this is not a victim. Stop it. This is not a victim, because for anyone who believes, right, that this story sounds believable, I truly hope someone falsely accused your male friend or family member or someone very close to you, or your husband if you're a woman watching this. I truly hope that, because I feel like we live in a world where people are okay with like celebrities, or some people they don't like their life being like someone lying on them. That's not okay. And some people probably gonna be more mad, pissed about the fact that like I said I'm cursing someone to like basically say like someone should lie, falsely accuse him, right? But if you think it's okay for someone to just lie on a celebrity or lie on anyone, that's, I don't know. I don't know what to think about of you at all. I really don't, because it's not okay. It's really not okay, because if that was your dad, someone lied about your dad, how would you feel? If that was your brother, if that was your colleague that you really like, again, we're not talking about like a situation where this person was in a room with someone and you don't know what happened. I get that part, but it's this Jane Doe that's alleging that Jay-Z did something to her when he was not even there. She was probably not even there. This is what we're talking about. This situation. This situation is absurd. It's a disgrace. It is sad. And trust me, her lawyer right now is chilling, enjoying himself. And I always find it very interesting when people say like, how can you sleep like that? He doesn't care. This is not his family member. He's trying to destroy. He's trying to destroy a stranger. Jay-Z, he doesn't know Jay-Z from Adam or Eve. He doesn't know them, right? So to him, it's just like a paycheck. Trust me, he's sleeping lovely. That's why Jay-Z have to sleep lovely when he goes out there with everything he got. This has to be an example. This has to be an example, or else it's just going to keep going, right? And again, she's not a victim. So it's not victim shaming. She's not a victim. This is a lie. It's a fantasy. Because if you're watching this, you're a man. How would you feel if someone do the same thing to you? If you're a woman, how would you feel if someone do the same to your dad or your boyfriend, your husband, or someone male close to you, just completely lie and they were not even there? Or let's say you happen to be with the person at that time they're being accused of. How would you think of this? This is not okay. This is dangerous. We should not give someone fantasy, right? Any sort of realistic like understanding. Don't do it, because then they go into fantasy more.
They didn't even get a permit, according to the police and the city, for the Jumbotron that year. So that didn't happen. None of the details are right, because this never happened. If we can keep going. And then she says, I'm knocking on the doors and the windows of limousines and VIPs. Of course, that doesn't work either. If you look at the video, photographs, that whole area was blocked off. We've spoken to numerous people there that were in security. No one could have gotten anywhere near those cars, because this never happened. She gets that fact wrong. And you know the whole story about, of all people, she knocks on Puff's window. 13-year-old girl in Midtown by herself. Just think about that. Think about how illogical that is. Keep going. Again, this is Eminem performing in the streets. No Jumbotron. All the cars barricaded. Her facts don't check out because this never happened. We keep going. So what ends up happening then, and this is important, is her original account in the original complaint says that at 9:30 or 10, she's told to wait there to get a ride to the after party. Okay? That also doesn't work, because there's photographs now of Mr. Combs, Mr. Carter at commercial establishments in New York after the VMAs. So this narrative of at 10 o'clock she ends up at this party can't work. They got caught. So they change it in the amended complaint, that there's this multiple drop-off and pickup that lands them at this White House that doesn't exist. So as we continue.
Oh, I didn't know that. So it looks like they're amending their story. So probably after this, after social media get a hold of it and everyone have the rebuttal, I feel like they're probably going to go back and adjust the story to try to fit in. Now, that's why it's kind of sickening. Some YouTubers are saying, well, it's not 2000 happened, it's 2003. So guess what probably they're going to do now? Probably change the story. And guess what? The dad is still going to say, hey, I never drove you there. That friend is still not going to be alive. And now they're just going to keep going back and forth. Again, this is a fantasy we're living in. But again, the lawyer's responsible. Her lawyer's responsible. This is a money grab. This is disgusting behavior. Okay? And I didn't know that part before. That's a very intricate detail about the fact that like they're amending the story to kind of like fit whatever was not realistic before. Because again, that's the thing about someone like a celebrity like Jay-Z, is the fact like, hey, he's always being captured on camera, right? So that just gave him a good alibi. So that's the power of photos sometimes, right?
Her account of trying to change the story into this multiple drop-off period to get them at the house to deal with the fact that there's photographic evidence that that's not where the after party was in the first place. And so as this account continues, you have to look at the timeline. You have to look at the timeline. So there's an old expression that time doesn't lie. Everything else that I'm talking about, these glaring inconsistencies, these are not minor inconsistencies. These are not minor problems with this story. This is utter falsehoods. Time never lies. And so if you look at the time, no matter what, this couldn't have happened. It's not even possible that this happened. And this is so important. So again, now that we know that it's a 5-hour drive in each direction, how she gets to the VMAs, okay, we're going to talk in some detail about this White House and whether or not they could have gotten there. And then again, Doe returns home to Rochester, okay? And this is very important. Because she returns home, she has to leave the New York area by 1:30 in the morning at the latest, okay? If you look at any of these White Houses and you look at the closest gas stations that could be to any of these White Houses, you have to leave this White House party by 12:45 in order to get to the gas station at 1:30 to call your father to pick you up to get home to Rochester at 6:30. So remember, she only has till 12:45 for everything that she says to have happened. The VMAs end at after 11. So you're talking about a window of a little more than an hour that this could possibly have happened even by their own count. And she says during that little bit more than an hour, not only does she get to the house, not only is she inside mingling with celebrities, she has a drink. She's then sexually assaulted in front of an adult female multiple times. She gets out of that. She fights through it. She leaves the house naked. She gets all the way to the gas station. She had 37 minutes to possibly do this. Okay, even under their account. Okay, and of course, the biggest problem, perhaps of all, is there's photographs putting Mr. Combs and Mr. Carter at different places, not in a White House during that 37 minutes. So when I tell you that it's not just that this story is a lie and that it's not true, it's provably, demonstrably false. This never happened.
100% agree. 100% agree. Anyone that, I'm not talking about someone who like maybe spent 2 minutes like glancing over the stories, okay, maybe to make a judgment, right? I'm talking about people that really goes deep and like watch and observe, that still comes to the conclusion that he's anyway found, I don't know, like even 1%, right? I think, again, I honestly believe that you're a sick human being, because if that what happens to your daddy was not there. He was, I don't know, in a different country, and let's say he was in, I don't know, Canada, and someone in the US accused him of something at a time when he was in Canada, right? How would you feel? Oh, let me guess. Jay-Z's a celebrity, so he doesn't count, right? So this is not a case of like, hey, morals and value, but when it comes to others, it's not okay, because you know why? You're demonizing celebrities already, right? And people always say like this is a victim or shame. Like, there are real victims out there. She is not a victim because it never happened. This is a fantasy. This is La La Land right now you're playing with, and this is not okay.
We talked about this 37 minutes. The earliest, even if we didn't have that establishments. Remember, this is innocence on top of innocence. Even if we didn't have that, according to her, the earliest they could have gotten to the house is 12:11. And the reason for that is, if the VMAs end and the drive is 20 minutes, the driver has to go there, drop them off, come back, pick her up, bring her back. She can't get there. And again, this is lickety-split. This is as fast as is possible, okay? This is no traffic leaving Radio City in Midtown during an awards ceremony. 12:11. She has to leave that white residence by 12:48 in order for her father to pick her up at the gas station. 37 minutes. That's the entire window of opportunity here. So here again is the timeline. Shows the 11:11 VMAs end, the drop-off, the pickup, and the drop-off. Next slide. And again, here we are. You see the 37 minutes. This is the 42 minutes it takes to walk. This is the closest gas station. And this is, remember this is a 13-year-old girl walking who has issues, who is maybe drugged according to her, who's just been viciously raped multiple times, who was holding her own clothing trying to get to a gas station that she had never been before. Okay? No map, no cell phone, no nothing. Straight line, it's 42 minutes. Okay? The story doesn't work, it doesn't check out. Okay? This never happened. Next slide. These are all the things that they claim happened in that 37 minutes. Okay? And again, 37 is giving them every benefit of the doubt as how long this window could be. Every benefit of the doubt. But here's an even bigger problem. There are photographs of Mr. Carter and Mr. Combs at commercial establishments during the 37 minutes. They're not there. Even if you try to come up with the fastest possible timeline, I'm talking about no traffic, nobody getting in your way at the door, right to the bar kind of timeline, it still doesn't work. Because they had to leave Radio City, they had to go to the commercial establishments. Mr. Combs is photographed at 2 different commercial establishments with Jennifer Lopez, 2 establishments. They had to go to both of those establishments and get back to the White House. Get back to the White House before she has to leave at 12:30. None of this can work. And in fact, and I think this is very important, you will notice in the photographs that Ms. Lopez changes clothing between the 2 events that they go to in New York City. You can see in one photograph she's wearing one outfit and another. So she had to be able to, in this 40...
Wait a second. Was she trying to allege before J-Lo was a female watching it? I didn't think about that till now, so that's interesting. Oh, I almost had a heart attack. I thought I was muted. I almost had a heart attack. Okay. Yeah, that's again, it's a fantasy. She's living a fantasy world. Suffer mental illness again. Get it, mental illness, but at the same time is just because you have mental illness, why is it okay for you to try to ruin my life, ruin someone else's life that has nothing to do with you, right? How is it their fault by trying to ruin their life because of your fantasy? So before someone says, "Oh, you're shaming people to have mental illness," but if someone's mental illness is making this allegation, this false and fantasy, yeah, that's a problem. If you don't see a problem with it, that you are a problem too. Okay?
Get to multiple events. They're seen drinking, socializing. She has to change outfits, change her hair, all within 40 minutes to get to that White House in time. And you're saying to yourself, that's not possible. You're right, it's not possible. It's because it's never happened. And then we get to the end. She kept running until she reached a gas station. A female clerk noticed her, allowed her to use the phone. Plaintiff called her father, admitted that she had lied about her whereabouts. And this is a very small thing, very small. But remember, when you leave house and you're 13, you have to have a story. You either have to sneak out and not have a lie, or you tell your parents a lie. Sort of 2 options, right? Earlier, she says, well, I didn't tell my parents a lie, I just snuck out the window, right? Here, she says, well, I lied. See, do you know what that means? That means she's lying even within her own story. They can't both be true. And I said earlier that no witnesses have come forward in basically a quarter of a century, except for one. Now there's one, her own father, the person who knows her best. And he came forward too. And he said, you know what? This never happened. This never happened. And his attention was drawn to it. I feel like I would remember that. And they said, but you've got a lot going on. Maybe you forgot this. You've got a lot going on. They told him, listen, you've got a lot going on. Try to see if they pressed him, if he stuck to his story.
Do you know what's very fascinating about her dad comment? Not the fact that she's lying. No, that didn't happen. The way it was worded about her dad's comment is, it sounds like it was written by a lawyer. Seriously, her dad's comment, right? Because he probably just want to say, yeah, she's lying. I didn't do that. It sounds like the lawyer says, well, you can't really say that. It's like using very, very open worded kind of question, like I don't remember kind of thing. That's what it kind of gave to me. It's because her dad is basically saying, nah, that didn't happen, right? But that's how a normal person would speak, like, hey, no, that didn't happen. What are you talking about, right? But the way the lawyer probably like structure is probably like, I cannot recall. One of those like that, right? And that's what it's kind of given to me. But he's still saying like, nah, that didn't happen. So very interesting about that. Again, very, very interesting. So you could tell like the lawyer, like her lawyer's literally trying to like make it a family business kind of thing, right? But I'm happy that didn't fall for that, because again, when push comes to shove, when it gets really real in the courtroom, etc., and it's gonna be very interesting, right?
That's something that would definitely stick in my mind. Of course, it would stick in your mind. You drove 10 hours to pick up your 13-year-old daughter in New York City.
10 hours.
It's not something you would forget.
No.
It's not something they did
Absolutely
forget
not.
because this never happened. And of
Absolutely
course, just
not.
like the friend that couldn't be there at the beginning, you can't have a witness to something that never happened. When asked, well, what did you say to your father in the car? What did you talk about? Nothing. She says not a word was spoken. There can't be a conversation because this never happened. And so you got to ask yourself what's going on here, right? And you all saw that videotape of her being interviewed in the shadowy room. She's holding a teddy bear. She's talking about her issues, her head trauma. She's been through a lot in her life, you can tell.
She's 38
And so
years old.
Who took
Little
advantage
teddy
of this?
bear.
Why are we
Lawyer.
here? Why is this
Lawyer.
story getting created?
Lawyer.
And I'll tell you who took advantage of this. This lawyer took advantage of this. That's what's going on here. And you can see here, now that this is starting to unravel and the truth is coming out,
Yep.
he's starting to walk away from it.
Yep.
He's saying, oh, sorry, this case was referred to our firm by another firm, so I didn't really check it out, is basically what he's saying. Right? He brings an accusation like this, attacks a man with the integrity of Mr. Carter, and all he has to say for himself now is, well, I didn't really check on this. I got a referral, trying to make a little bit of money, so we just went live with it. Next. Here is again the timeline that he went live with. In the face of this irrefutable, time doesn't lie evidence, he went live with it. And again, it doesn't work. This 37 minutes, it does not work. It does not work because there's photographs. There's photographs. You can find them on the internet of them. They're changing clothes. She's changed clothes. Do you know how long that takes for her to go to 2 events, change clothes, get inside, have drinks, they're socializing, they're not popping into these events. To then get back out into the suburbs somewhere, in a house that doesn't exist? It's not possible.
And someone like Jay-Z and P. Diddy, again, P. Diddy's a whole different beast, right? But Jay-Z and both of them in the same room and an alleged woman, right? So it looks like she's trying to allege J-Lo was there, right? That's the only person like, again, let's not put J-Lo in this, right? Let's just, okay, this is a fantasy, right? But in realistically speaking, do you know how many security or people is probably going to be around and a party like that? Even a private room a little bit, because again, it's like, you may have someone behind the door, something. There's always going to be someone, some kind of guard there, right? An event like that, you know how many people is probably going to be? Again, this is celebration. You know how many police officers going to be there? So they want us to believe that like they probably hired the crooked cops. They said, hey, for one special day only, we look for all crooked cops, right? We want you to ignore everything you see, right? Do you know how preposterous that sound? Like a cop, like a little girl's just gonna run by, and the cops is gonna say, no, I have my eyes closed. You know how ridiculous that sound? Like, yeah, it sounds insane. Exactly, because it is. It's a fantasy. She's living in a fantasy.
Is for sure innocent of this accusation. Next slide. But you know, this lawyer, he doesn't care about things like this. The only other person he's brought a complaint against for just mere association, merely being at a Sean Combs party, he's already been wrong about that one too. He had to change that one. If you look at the next slide, he got the year wrong. He said there was a party in the Hamptons. Mr. Combs was in Saint-Tropez at the time. Didn't check out. 2 claims, neither are checking out. If we could keep going. And we have this, individuals calling my office, telling me story after story. And, I'm not going to get sidetracked. People think I'm going to start saying, explaining he's a grifter and all these things about him. I'm not here to talk about him more than I need to. But there's people calling the office saying, yeah, they were being pressured to say stuff, to say that they were with Mr. Combs. These are affidavits. They're filed in court. This is what you're dealing with here. Next slide. And so this is who took advantage of the woman in the shadowy video.
It's funny how now the lawyers like basically Busby's now crying like Jay-Z's being too mean to him, but when he had a 13-year-old girl lie about Jay-Z, now he's playing the victim. That's how it always works in life. That's how it always works in life. When a bully, when you play back with them, they always cry the victim. They always cry like, you cannot do that. I promise you, he was sleeping lovely. He probably almost looked at a brand new house he's gonna buy. He's like, I'm gonna make this settlement. I'm probably gonna get $100 million and I'm gonna buy this new house, right? But he doesn't care about destroying someone else's life, because you know why? But if that was his kid, it's a problem. If that was his son, or I don't know if he has a son or whatever, right? I'm just assuming, right? But like, I'm just make believe, right? But if that was his kid, someone do the same thing to, that's a problem. You notice that? Why people like him? It's okay to destroy others' life because they don't care. They absolutely have no empathy whatsoever. I promise you that. I always find it very interesting when people say, well, how do you sleep well at night? The guy was on vacation. He's enjoying his time. He doesn't care. When there's consequence, that's when he starts like cry and play the victim. Sad.
1-800 number. And he claims 2 days after posting that press conference, 2 days, that he has 120 fully vetted plaintiffs. 120. Anybody that does this for real, anyone that knows what they're doing, knows to corroborate, to interrogate, and to be sure about even one person takes weeks. One person. You've got to find out if their story makes sense. Did they really get dropped off?
Seriously.
Does any of it
he
check
has
out?
this for
Is
the
there
Catholic
corroboration?
Church,
Are there any
like
witnesses?
that would have been awesome.
It takes weeks for one. He had 120 in 2 days. When he files these cases, he doesn't even enter his notice of appearance. He just has some other lawyer file them. He holds these press conferences. He says, listen, anybody out there, just call the 1-800 number. If you can put yourself anywhere near Sean Combs' party at any point, we can go after the other celebrities there. We can make money together. Just call the 1-800 number. That's all you need to do. And then we'll send a letter to the celebrity. They're not going to want to have this in the public light. And they're going to be shaken down and they'll send us money. So just call the number. And Mr. Carter said no. He said, that's not going to happen anymore. I'm going to put my foot down. And that's what he did. And I would urge any other celebrity that's being shaken down right now to do the same thing and to stand with truth.
Imagine other celebrities that really go with Jay-Z. This is going to be interesting. Do you know how crazy that would look like if other celebrities says, hey, you're not going to do the same thing to me, right? And they're getting the same allegations like people are lying. And of course, like we're talking about people making fantasies. So we're not talking about real victims, okay? Again, the real victim, P. Diddy, is a whole different story. Please do not conflate the two. Please do not, okay? If you commit P. Diddy, then it's like, okay, well, you're lost in the sauce. And I know this is the intern. There's a lot of people lost in the sauce. I get it, right? But again, if how insane would that look if like they find a celebrity that's willing to go with Jay-Z to say, hey, listen, this guy is also doing lying about me. That's if that happens, this guy's he's gonna be in jail. The lawyer's gonna be in jail.
And what this 1-800 lawyer is doing, he's taking the justice away from this. He's destroying this opportunity and the voices of real victims.
I believe so. 100%
And it's got to
so.
end. So, are there any questions? Yes.
One question. So for the people that are calling your office, I'm assuming if it's not dismissed, like worst case scenario, you guys move forward to try and show that everything you just told us. What evidence are you guys submitting other than the accounts they're giving you over the phone? Like, do any of those people calling you have like emails between them and BuzzFeed or text conversations where they're encouraging this stuff? Yeah. So let me divide that question into two if I can. We expect the case to be dismissed. If it's not, eventually this will all crumble because it can't possibly have happened mathematically. You don't even need witnesses.
Yeah, if this case is not dismissed, if this case is not dismissed, this case is going to be dismissed. This is rubbish. This is pure rubbish. Because if this case is dismissed, who's to say like the lawyer, Busby, who's to say someone's not going to say the same thing about their offspring too, like their offspring or like anyone in their family? Like this is out of control. This is insane. This is insanity right now. But we are living in a kind of insane world. So you never know. But yeah, I think this case is going to be dismissed. This is pure rubbish. I think the guy should be like, the lawyer should get in trouble. He should not practice law. I honestly believe Busby, right? If Busby was black, I'm going to say this right now. I'm not making a black and white thing. If Busby was white, I honestly believe people would have said he got his law degree through affirmative action. Again, I honestly believe so. If Busby was, this is the Jane Doe, her lawyer, how incompetent he is, right? I honestly believe it was a black guy doing this. People would say he got his law degree due to affirmative action. I personally believe he did. I believe he did because this is insane. But again, no one is saying that right now because again, he's not black, right? But look how insane, how ridiculous this case is. But just think about that. If he was black, people would have said because of how bad this looks, it would have been like, well, that's what happened on affirmative action. See what affirmative action gives to you because of the color of his skin. No one is judging him and saying like how ridiculous, how incompetent he is as a lawyer. And that's what he looks like. That's what he's doing, taking advantage of mentally ill. That's exactly what he's doing.
and you don't need witnesses because the time doesn't work. Just there's literally photographic evidence that proves that this could not have happened. In terms of what's going to happen to Mr. Busby for this racket and everything else going on, time will tell. But this is how things unravel. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Who is Lex Intelligence, and has your firm ever hired them in connection with Tony Busby to investigate Tony Busby as he's alleged?
I don't know that firm, don't know those people, and the answer is no.
So this might just be an extension of the first question, but you.
Oh, interesting. So wait. Busby's now alleging that Jay-Z's lawyer is actually having people like investigate him, right? And the lawyers now say he doesn't know those people. That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Oh, wow. I wanted that's the government. Seriously, I wanted that's the government.
Decided with Mr. Connors. Can you elaborate on that, please? Are they calling you to say if they've been pressured?
Yeah, there was a
this is about
witness that
witnesses
came forward that contacted my office.
That contact his office, okay.
And submitted an affidavit in court regarding this that accounted for what occurred on that day, which was they called the Busby firm. They said they had an inquiry. The inquiry had nothing to do with Mr. Combs, Mr. Carter, or any of this. And the people at the Busby firm said, well, why don't we try to push this in the direction of the Combs case? That's a better decision in sum and substance. That's a better way to go here. This individual refused to do that, contacted my office and signed it, and then an affidavit was submitted to court.
Oh, wow.
Yes?
You mentioned the letters that Busby's been sending out to unnamed celebrities in relation to these Combs lawsuits. What were your interactions on behalf of Mr. Carter before he was renamed in the amended complaint?
Well, after the letter was received, we obviously knew this was completely false and we weren't going to be shaken down, so the efforts were nothing because there was nothing to discuss in any meaningful way.
Do you know who the Jane Doe is, like her actual identity? Has there been like research into that on your end?
Yeah, it's a fair question. Because she's been blacked out in the video and because a court has not unmasked her in court, I'm not going to get into her identity. You will notice that I did not get into some of her issues. I don't want to. It's really sad in many respects, and I don't want to get into that. So I'm not going to unmask her here today.
Yeah, I 100% believe that her lawyer is taking advantage of a mentally ill person. I'm so glad that we live in a social media age because imagine her lawyer had pull with the media back in the days, right? And Jay-Z kind of like with his influence and money, he's able to like, of course, get some people to kind of cover it. It would look like a back and forth. But now we live in social media age where you can see it directly. No one is feeding it to you. You can see that. Like, well, that doesn't make any sense to you. This is ridiculous. So at least back in the day, it would be like the battle of like the media forces. Like this person published a paper. The next day, it's like this person published a paper. Today, you can just see people just giving like their raw input right instantly. So there's no need to kind of wait till the next day. And it's just fascinated about that because this is really, really sick. This is really sick.
You're trying to reach out to Mr. Carter before, or any of his camp, or anyone?
Not to my knowledge.
Oh, sorry, I missed that question.
Yes.
Busby indicated that there was a second alleged victim. Has he given any notice that he's pursuing that claim as well?
No, and I would hope not after what's going on here. Yes.
You mentioned in your recent filing on this docket that you were intending to file a motion to dismiss. What's the timeline on that? Are you working on that?
Yeah, so we did file a motion to dismiss the day after this was filed. Right. The Rule 11 letter, which basically says that a lawyer is not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to not vet a claim and file a false claim in court, or it needs to come down. Okay. The way that works, and it's a little technical, is that the court has to allow you to file faster than you should otherwise be allowed to file. So we are hopeful that the court will respond today, and we will file that. If not, there are other things that we're going to do to bring the truth to light. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Are there any witnesses who will be corroborating Mr. Carter's testimony that he was not there that night? Or is that sort of what you're hinting at, that if necessary, you will provide those people?
Yeah, I mean, it's like asking to corroborate something that never happened. I mean, there are dozens and dozens of people that are going to say there was no party at the White House, that put all of these celebrities where they're already put in photographs in different places, not at the White House. Remember, according to her, all three of these people, I mean, you all have seen the photographs, I mean, on the internet, and I just showed you some. All three of these people would have had to have been at this White House together, alone in a room. Just think about that. Alone in a room with this 13-year-old girl at exactly the time that they're in commercial establishments. So I mean, there's no proof better than time. But of course, there are going to be people that are going to say that they were all out that night and nowhere near a White House, and they went to an after-party commercial establishment. This is all fancy.
If this case is dismissed after that, are you guys decided definitely to follow anything?
Very important question.
This issue with a lawyer taking advantage of the situation is going to be dealt with.
The question was, I saw this question previously before it was on social media. The question was, if this case is dismissed, it's kind of like, is Jay-Z going to go after the lawyer that falsely tried to go after him? And the answer is kind of be like, yes, absolutely. But he's not going to say directly, right? Just kind of indirectly, he says that. So pay attention to that.
And I think sort of stay tuned. I think the first thing today was to make sure that everybody understands. This is not an account of inconsistencies. I wanted everybody to understand that this never happened. This is completely false. And then we'll move forward from there. Yes.
What is Mr. Carter's account of that night? Does he say he was at multiple locations, just that nightclub, Lotus nightclub that he was photographed at?
Yeah, so I'm not going to get into sort of privileged communications and talk too much about that, but I will say that he was not at any house or any location. They were in New York City. They were at commercial establishments with lots of people around, and this is obviously completely false.
How's Mr. Carter feeling?
He's upset. He's upset that somebody would be allowed to do this. They would make a mockery of the system like this. He's upset that this distracts and dissuades real victims from coming forward. He's upset that his kids and his family have to deal with this. He's
100%.
upset. They should be upset.
Real victims are being silenced right now for this mockery.
Investigating Busby, talking to people around him as he's alleged in some of his legal suit against him right now?
Yeah, that suit went nowhere, as you saw. And what happens when people bring frivolous cases and run rackets like this is, of course, we're asking questions. I've got people contacting my office telling me chapter and verse about him. So we don't shut off the phone lines. I'm listening because I'm trying to figure out how this is allowed to proceed like this. Yes?
He posted a photo on his Instagram of 3 men at a door of his client, suggesting that investigators came and said that they would pay $1,000 for plaintiffs to file a suit against him. I mean, do you have any connection to those men that he photographed? Do those men have any connection to Quinn Emanuel?
Zero. Okay, I don't know whether it's completely false or not, but zero connection to those people. Have no idea what that is. Don't know whether he made it up out of whole cloth. Don't know if he's trying to distract.
That's very interesting. I saw on social media someone when he left on his Instagram, Busby, 3 men had at his door, right? There was someone in a comment that said like he knows those people and those people were like related to Busby. So again, I don't know how true that is, but only time will tell, right? But the lawyer just sounds crooked, just crooked.
He's under now, but no, there's no truth to that. Anything else?
Right. Will Mr. Carter say anything more specifically about Mr. Combs? He didn't really address him in his statement, but anything since outlets and internet speculation have tried to affiliate to them that he didn't really in his statement specifically say anything about any of the allegations.
I mean, Mr. Carter has nothing to do with Mr. Combs' case or Mr. Combs. They knew each other professionally for a number of years, just like in all professions. People know each other. At the music awards, they support each other. If you go to the NBA All-Star game, they support each other. That's just how professions work. There is no closer association between any of them. That's also a matter of fiction. That's all that there is. He doesn't know anything about the charges or allegations against him. He has nothing to do with that case.
Now, this is the very controversial part. It looks like Jay-Z's disassociate himself, right, from like from P. Diddy, so from Diddy. Hey, listen. This is how I see it. I get it a little bit, but okay. Let's say you have a friend at work, right? You guys go out to go out to events, go out to party and all, but still maintain a professional relationship, right? You go to the kids game, or he comes to like your Christmas celebration, etc., right? If you always take pictures of the person, it looks like friends, right? And again, because you're in the same profession, so people can have the perception like, hey, perception of reality, right? Like, hey, it perceives that they look like friends. But if you say you and the guys are not friends, you're just professional, like your colleagues, and this is, you have a very close colleague relationship, I get it. So Jay-Z disassociated himself from like Diddy, I get it. Listen to me very carefully. If you have a friend, my friend go rob a bank. That's still my friend. I'm just letting you know right now. Yeah, he's a knucklehead. If my friend decide to go like steal a police car and go for a joyride, that's still my friend. He's a knucklehead, right? Whatever the case may be. If my friend does the same thing that this little girl is accusing, the fantasy she's created, right? That's not my friend. I'm letting you know right now. It's like, that was not my friend. Yeah, we were cool, but that's not my friend. I don't know that person. And some people say, well, how can you say that? I'm telling you, you are my friend to a certain degree. If you do something like that, and I feel like we probably didn't. You probably was, I don't know. I saw a different part of you. I saw a fixed part of you. It's okay to disassociate yourself with people, right? There are monsters like that. I'm just letting you know. And I get it. Would I do the same thing? Absolutely. Absolutely. If I have a colleague that I'm spending time with a family, or we get like after work, we like go party, etc. And then he does a heinous act, I don't know him. That's a colleague. Yes, we party, we have fun a little bit, but I don't know him. And it's by evidence, but I don't know him, right? Based on his action, right? So I get it. I get it. I'm with that. I know this is like very controversial now. People are saying like, well, Jay-Z is disassociating himself. I'm like, Diddy. I'm like, well, do you read what Diddy's accused of doing? So I'm not surprised.
Yes.
In the original filing before, and even after, there's a second, the woman celebrity that even joins in the room. That woman celebrity, whoever that is, has there been any other people that may have been with Mr. Carter or even Puff that night that reached out to you guys just wanting to know what is happening, just so that they can prepare for kind of even a fight back like Jay-Z gets for him?
Well, we know other celebrities have received letters, and we've spoken to other celebrities that were there that night that say this is what they know about this. This makes no sense, couldn't have happened because they were all at a commercial establishment. So I hope that answers your question. Yes.
Was there a specific amount of money or something specific that was demanded of Mr. Carter in this demand letter that was sent to you
very good
before
question.
the complaint was filed?
There isn't a specific number that has been demanded.
Did they specifically ask for money?
In the demand letter, what?
Yeah. So and I've been asked this question before. People like this, they don't send demand letters out to not get money. That's all they want.
That's true.
This is not for truth and justice. This is for money.
Yeah.
So.
See, if they want truth and justice, right, as Jay-Z said, go to the police. Go to the police station, file a report, right? They don't want that. This is what I'm saying. This whole thing is and that's why I say like the lawyer or something. The lawyer again. If the lawyer was black, I guarantee it would plaster all over the place. Results of affirmative action, I guarantee it, because how incompetent he is, right? But what he's doing, he's not doing this for his health. Promise you that. He's doing it for money. He's doing it for money. He's a 1-800 lawyer, right? And now he's trying to play like, well, I'm not doing it for money. If it's not doing it for money, so walk to the police station and file a police report. And then, so that way, right, when the police are doing an investigation, they start realize that a lot of this stuff is all fantasies. Guess what's going to happen, right? Jay-Z's not going to get in trouble. More likely not, he's probably going to get in trouble, right? What he should have known.
Sit down and talk about a way to resolve this matter. And we all know what that means. Yes?
Do you have any plans to release the demand letter?
Not as I stand here today. I'm more concerned with making sure that everybody knows this didn't happen. I know there's a lot of questions about this lawyer and who's after him and how much wrong has he done and these questions, and I totally understand that and respect those questions, but we'll turn to that later.
I'd look forward to that.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you all very much for your time.
Okay, that was good. That was really, really good. I hope that was informative. That was extremely informative. It goes to show you this whole thing is a fantasy. It's a fantasy in the little girl's head, and the lawyer is taking advantage of it, completely taking advantage of it. And it's kind of sad. It's really, really sad how incompetent the lawyer is. Vetting was not done, and now instead of like staying focused about the victim, now I think the lawyer's trying to he's trying to find a counter lawsuit saying like Jay-Z's calling him names, etc. It's like, it just goes to show you how a joke he is. But again, I think they're dealing with like a clown, so it's gonna be very fascinating how this works. But more likely than not, I think the lawyer is probably. I hope he's disbarred. I really, really hope, because this is sad. But anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I was supposed to get this done yesterday, and I kind of pushed it, and I told myself I'm gonna get this done today, and this is really good. So stand by. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want me to look up any story, leave a comment, and don't forget to like and leave a comment. And I hope to see you in the next one